Hi guys, how you doing? I hope you're well. Welcome back to another art video. In this one I'm taking you along to an art workshop for the day, which was a really lovely day. I'm also then showing you the progression after the workshop. So I created this landscape acrylic piece at a workshop by Sarah Duffield. I discovered her by chance. I was looking for some local web designers near me just to have a look at their websites as my competitors, and on the portfolio section of one of the sites I came across was this website of Sarah Duffield, and she creates these beautiful landscape pieces using acrylic, I believe. I'm not sure if she uses other mediums as well, but I also saw that she does these workshops and she's local to me, and I thought, you know what, I've been through a little bit of a rough time recently. My creativity is just fallen off a cliff and I needed some inspiration. I had a little bit of birthday money left over, so I thought I would spend it on this workshop, spend a day on myself enjoying some art and getting some creative inspiration and an excuse to start filming again. So it was on Saturday the 13th of May. It's a week or so later, and since then I have worked on the painting and added to it, so I've got that to show you as well. But it was a really fun workshop. When I signed up to the workshop, I got sent through a kit list, on it some recommendations of what to buy, so I saw this as a perfect excuse to go shopping. So I went to the range because they have some good deals on art stuff really. So yeah, I went to the range and I got two of these. So this is a canvas panel A3. It was recommended to get A3 size or bigger for the main piece that we would be working on. We had to take a sketchbook and acrylic paints. I already had these, which I bought from the range, which were about £2 each, but there was colours which I needed which I didn't already have, so I bought a full set of these Daler Rowney graduate acrylics, and yeah, there was about 24 in the set. Way more colours than I needed really. I could have just bought a few more of these and I would have been set, but I wasn't to know until I got there. There was recommendations of what colours to buy, but as I was like trying to pick out the different colours, I was like, I may as well just get the set because there's so many I need. But anyway, I also bought some of these spatula things because I thought we might possibly need them, and also I want to try painting with them at some point myself anyway. I already had paintbrushes that I've used with acrylic, so I took those along. And what else? I bought a baking tray and some minky cloths. These have dried up a bit now, but they did fill this whole baking tray area. And on top I then put some greaseproof paper, and I made these wet and took a spray bottle with me as well. And this was then my stay wet palette, as per the recommendations in the email that was sent through from Sarah. So yeah, I took a few bits and set up shop. We got there initially and Sarah, it was a beautiful little, it's called the Cow Shed near Stenning, beautiful barn, and met some new people, which was nice. There were people there that were complete beginners, people that attend Sarah's workshops quite regularly, people that have been painting for years but still feel like amateurs and just wanted a bit of guidance, and people that just enjoy painting. So yeah, it was really lovely to meet all those new people. We started the day by talking through how the day would pan out and the different exercises that we would be doing. The plan was to make one landscape piece, and then like before we started that, to do some little experiments with colour mixing, and just so we could get a better understanding of how we could mix colours to create the different areas of light in our pictures that we were creating. So we were recommended to start by painting the ground colour on our canvas so that could be drying while we did the experiments, and then we could go back to painting on top of like the main canvas. So Sarah explained about how different coloured grounds will affect the mood and the feel of the piece. She showed us one where she'd done one that was like reddy oranges and then one that was blues, and then painted the same piece on top of that, and how different they looked, how different the mood was on each of them. So I chose to paint mine quite a warm colour. I probably could have gone with something a bit more yellowy orange, whereas mine ended up being quite reddy orange, but you'll see in a sec, and I'll show you the reference picture as well. But yeah, so I'll share those clips with you. I'll do a voiceover at points to talk you through what's going on. I'll talk you through what I learned at the end. Okay, into the arty clips. Okay, so this is the colour of the coloured ground that I painted on my art piece. That was quite fun, just to paint that whole canvas that colour. And then this is the experimentation that we were doing with mixing different colours, so adding a little bit more warmth to each of the sort of orange or highlight colour, and then mixing it with blue to create the cool tones and the shadows, and just adding a little bit more each time we went along. Sarah explained it so much better than I ever could. Yeah, the colours that I painted in the circles I realised were a bit too dark for what I wanted, so I did then go back and try again with some different colours. And then we went back to our main canvases, the main event, and using quite a light colour rather than using pencil, because apparently the acrylic picks up the pencil sometimes, so I used yellow paint to kind of draw roughly the outline of what I was trying to create. We did do some sketches beforehand, I just did one, and then yeah, I got cracking with the painting, starting with the sky and then worked my way down really. I ended up just using 3 colours pretty much for this entire piece, and then a bit of white at points as well, and a tiny bit of black at the end when I got home. One of the things I found really difficult was where I was trying to mix up the colours and then not mixing up enough paint. I think a lot of people have the problem where they mix up way too much and then have loads left over, whereas I have done that before and I'm really stingy and tight with my paint and my money spending, so I was really conscious to not pour out too much of my paints, and then had to try and remix the colours. And then when I came home and had to recreate the colours after throwing my palette away, yeah, that was quite hard to get the colours to match, so there was a lot of going over areas and like trying to blend things in. You would think this is quite a therapeutic day, a therapeutic thing to do, just sit and paint. It started off quite therapeutic, painting that canvas board one colour, but it was quite stressful. It was enjoyable, definitely. I really enjoyed the day, but it was quite stressful trying to figure out how to do it right, how to mix the right colours. So the higher up in the sky the colours are, the darker they are, and the closer to the ground they are, the lighter they are. And the further away from the sun, the darker they are. And the closer to the sun, the lighter they are, but also the closer to the sun, the warmer they are, and the further away the cooler they are. So my sun in this piece is at the top of the screen, like it's off the canvas, not even in the picture. So anything that I was painting over on that side had to be like a warmer orangey colour and lighter, and then anything at the bottom of the screen currently had to be darker and had to have a bit more blue in it. So to start with, this piece ended up being quite dark with the purples and stuff, because in the background on my reference piece those mountains do look quite purpley, but they've got this like orangey hue going over the top of them. So in my head I was like, I'll paint the purpliness first and then I'll paint that orange hue over the top. I probably just could have tried to recreate the colour that it ended up being, but I don't know, my head just sees it quite literally, and yeah. So I painted this sea, which was obviously very similar colour to what I was using for the mountains, just with a little bit more blue in it to give it that blue hue. And then I tried to add in the orangey colour over the top, which worked in some areas and didn't in others. Sarah encouraged me to add a little bit of texture into this middle mountain, because you could see the sort of top of the mountains had a texture to them where there were trees. And then here she's helping me to see how the mountains are lighter at the bottom and darker at the top, which is counterintuitive to what you might think, but because in the scene, in my reference picture there's like a mist going on, and I think the light's reflecting off the mist, which is like lower down in the mountains. So she's showing me a way of like, this area is quite wet still, so by adding in this yellowy colour at the bottom of the mountain and then dragging it up with a dry brush, I can create that glow and make it look like the mountains are lighter at the bottom, give it that like misty effect. That's why there's hands coming in from other directions. It's Sarah helping me out and showing me how to do this effect, and then I'm taking over and doing it myself, and I think it turned out alright. You also notice I've added a white line and a yellowy line. White line is kind of like the horizon where the sun is reflecting off the water along that horizon line, and then just above it is the sand of the beaches that run along that side of the, I don't know what you call it, like an inlet, like the beach like the Gold Coast that goes down in like a U shape, and I was on the opposite side looking back across it. I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah, I tried to then add in more orange to the mountains, give them a bit more of a glow, and then I did plan to do Sarah's technique on top of that as well. When you look at the image, you can see that some of the mountains are a very similar colour, similar tone to the sea. So I was adding in some of that same peachy, light orangey to the sea as well to try and make it match in. I didn't get very far. There was a lot of half attempting to do one bit and then going back and doing another. So here I am now, back at home. I didn't get very far in the workshop. I added in those white lines in the workshop just to show where the surf is, where the waves are. So now at home I'm attempting to add in some rocks in the foreground, which are really, really dark. They're really nice contrast against like all the really light, calm colours in the background. They're pretty much black in the reference image, but I wanted to use the same colours that I've been using throughout. So I started off light, and then my plan was to keep adding and adding to make it darker, which I think I managed to do. My rocks are a little bit soft shaped. They could be a little bit harsher, but I'm still getting used to figuring out how to use the paintbrush in the best way and stuff. I was told to leave the sea as it is and just add in some more highlights for where the wave comes in along the front there, but I just didn't think it matched in with the rest of the sea, so I spent a lot of time trying to blend everything in, make everything fit. I've added these like purple lines next to the rocks to give like the shadows and stuff. I like where the blue is coming through from behind and the area that's like just wet sand, because it's quite blue in the reference image. And then I'm just I covered up the white highlight line that I'd put in because I didn't like it. It was too thick. This is over a couple of days, so I did the white lines and then left it, just kept looking at it, and that white line was just standing out. So I had to cover that up and redo this whole section. And at points it looks good, and I'm looking at it now and thinking, oh, I should have left it at some of the points, but hey ho. This is where I mixed in a little bit of black with the purple just to make it even darker, and so that contrast was even more accentuated. And then over the top, do go back in and add in like a yellowy colour to highlight the rocks and show where the sun's hitting those. Keep adding in the oranges and stuff into the sea. I think I covered too much of the sea really. I'm using like quite a watered down mixture, so I was hoping it would stay quite translucent, which it does in some areas. I'm really happy with how this first wave that's on the wet sand turns out in the end. Unfortunately, I've cropped out off to the right hand side this wave that just didn't work out. That's the one bit of the image that I'm really not pleased with. I couldn't get it right, but the rest of the image I'm quite pleased with. Image, picture, painting. And then this is me trying to do that glowy effect that Sarah showed me with the mountains, but because I'm sat at my desk that's right by a window and it was a super hot sunny day, all the black paint had dried up. It wasn't really working the same way that it did in the class. So I spent a lot of time going over this and trying to smudge it out a bit and make it a bit lighter. I think it turned out okay in the end. I think it's one of them pictures that if you stand back and squint, it looks alright. Okay, and then this is the finished piece. I am really chuffed with it. My auntie's been over a couple of times, my mum's been over a couple of times, and they're like, it looks great, they love it. I'm really pleased with it. I was going to go in and do some more to the sky, but I think if I keep adding to it, I'm just going to keep ruining it. I really love this bit. I think this looks really good. This is the bit that I don't like so much. I don't know if you can see it that well. But yeah, hold it back, overall as a piece, I'm really, really happy with it. Yeah, the main thing I learnt was that thing about how closer to the sun it needs to be lighter and warmer, and further away it needs to be darker and cooler, and further up it needs to be darker, and further down it needs to be lighter. So in the sky it is a bit darker at the top there where I've used blue, and then I've lightened this area up a bit. And then over here there's more blue in the purple. These are kind of more bluey purples, and then as it goes this way it gets lighter and warmer. So I think I've accomplished that sort of just about. Over this side as well it's more blue and darker, and then over this side obviously it's lighter and it's got more warmth to it. Yeah, it's more purple and it's darker than the original, than the reference image, but I like that. I love the reference image. It's like one of my favourite pictures I took while I was travelling, but I really like bright, colourful pieces of art, so I think this is a nice compromise for me. I was told to leave the sea, and I have covered a lot more of it than was recommended, but purely because like they really liked how the dark, like the red ground was coming through. But I think it really works, like leaving this pretty much how I had it when I left the lesson, and then adding in more to the sea over here, because it kind of gives quite a lot of contrast between the wet sand and the sea. So yeah, it looks really good in the camera actually. I think it looks a lot better in my phone than it does in real life, but I'm happy with it. It's kind of sat in front of my fireplace at the moment, just, yeah, and I keep looking at it and wanting to add more to it or try and fix bits, but I think my plan is to leave it for now as it is, because I'm pretty much happy with it, and then just hope the more that I practice and the more that I work on things, the better that I get. Maybe one day I'll come back to it and try and update it or improve it, or use this as a reference to create something else new. Who knows? So yeah, overall I loved the day. It was really nice meeting new people. It was really great inspiration to get creating again. I enjoyed filming bits of the day, and I've enjoyed talking to you, and I've enjoyed editing the clips together as well. So yeah, it did the trick. It was definitely good value for money, and I would like to go to some more of those workshops that Sarah puts on. She puts on 2 a month, I believe, so there's a couple coming up in June. I might wait and go in July just because of my finances, but yeah, I loved it. It was so worth it, and I'm really happy with the outcome, and I just want to paint more and learn to paint more. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my piece come together and hearing my thoughts on the art workshop. I will leave the link to Sarah Duffield website in my description of this video in case you wanted to go and check out her work, and if you're in the West Sussex or Sussex area yourself and want to come along to one of the workshops, then you can check out what she's got on offer. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!